Hello and welcome to another video on how to learn to code for absolute beginners. This is the last video of this series, and today I'm going to show you to configure your Mac or Windows to develop in Python like a pro. We will see how to install Python and also how to use Visual Studio Code, which is one of the most popular IDEs in the market, and it's totally free. First of all, you go to python.org and then you click on the download Python button here. If you go to downloads, you will find this file here called pkg, which is a package file, meaning that you could just have to double click on that and just follow the instructions. Continue, 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 agree, and install. It's going to ask you for the password that you use to log in into your computer, not your Apple ID password. After the installation is completed, it will ask you probably if you want to move it to the bin. You can move the package to the bin. Then if you go to applications, and here you can also go to the utilities folder, or you can also type Shift Command U, and it will take you directly to the utilities folder. There is a program called Terminal. If you never used a terminal before, it is a command line interface, and there is a video in the channel where I give you a very simple explanation of how to use the command line. Here we just type Python 3 -- version, and we have Python 3.10.8 installed. Now let's Google download Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is made by Microsoft, it's open source and it's free. Here you can use, depending on the Mac that you are using, either an Apple Silicon or Intel chip. You also have a universal option. I just prefer to choose the one for the architecture that I'm using. In my case, I'm using an Intel chip. Once it's done, go to download and then just drag it into the applications. You go to python.org and here you click on downloads. So basically download for Windows. Click on Python 3.10.8 or whatever version you're going to see when you download this. Go to the folder and here just double click on that file. Click here on add python.exe to path so you can also use it on the command line. And then you just follow a normal Windows install process. I would recommend to click on disable path length limit so in the future you don't have issues in terms of debugging or stuff like that. So after that is installed, now let's install Visual Studio Code. And here we can install for Windows. Let's go to our download folder and double click on the setup. And as a normal installation, just accept, next, mostly default configuration. I will create a desktop icon because you're going to use it a lot. I will also add this open with code because there are many files that you would like to open it with Visual Studio Code, not just Python. And let's launch Visual Studio Code. This is what you see when you open Visual Studio Code for the first time. You can choose a theme, light or dark. Here on the left, you have different options. And this one is the one you open the folder. So you can open a folder where your code is going to be. In this case, this is a fresh system. We don't have anything here. So let's create a folder to start coding. Let's go to desktop, create a folder called Python, and open that one. It's going to ask you for permissions, like using your desktop folder, say yes. And here it's going to ask you if you trust the folder we just created, say yes as well. So now we are in that folder. Now what we can do is here in this little icon, we can create a new file. Let's call it hello.py. That is going to be our Python file. And also you can see that automatically it's going to ask you if you want to install the recommended extensions for Python. Say yes to install. Compared to Thonny, Visual Studio Code is super powerful. For example, here, as soon as I start typing, a statement is immediately giving me options of the different things that I can use, which is called code completion, which is trying to help me to complete the code that I'm about to type. So we have here print hello world, save it. We can just click here on the little triangle to run it. And it just picked up automatically the environment, knows where Python is located and executed it here. If we close here the terminal, we can also access it by going here. You see the little arrow, we pull up and from there we have it. Or we can use the menu bar on the top and go to terminal and a new terminal. So here we can also execute our program by typing Python 3 space and the name of the script, in this case hello.py. If we do that, we can see hello world has been executed. Visual Studio Code is extremely powerful. You can debug, search for code, you can install extensions. We will have a dedicated video just for Visual Studio Code alone, but for now, this is enough to understand what you need to configure your system in the same way professional Python developers would have configured it. As a good exercise, I would suggest you to go through the same course and instead of using Thonny, use Visual Studio. Basically, it's the same. You just need to save the file here. You can execute it here from the command line, or you just click the triangle here to run the program. I hope you enjoyed this short course for beginners. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I will be happy to help. Stay tuned, subscribe, and thank you for watching.